Okay, so it's 10 already. So can we start, Mr. Chua? Are you here?
Yes, thank you.
All right, there you are. All right, so Mr. Chua, can we start?
Sure.
All right, okay. Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to everyone. I am Dr. Sadri from CPD and the e-learning unit. So I would like to welcome all of you for our very first training for this year under e-learning unit. Okay, so to get the barakah from our session, so can we start our session with recitations of Kitab Al-Fatihah? Okay, so before we start, I will briefly introduce our speaker, which is Mr. Chua Kiman. He is from UNIMAS. He is actually our frequent speaker for e-learning unit. Okay, so he is not unfamiliar, but familiar to us in CPD. All right, so the rest of the detail, I would like Mr. Chua to introduce himself lah, okay, before the session start. So without further ado and without further delay, the session is here, Mr. Kiman, and Mr. Chua.
Okay, just call me Kima, it's fine.
All right, okay, sure.
Thank you so much to CPD, IIUM, for once again invite me to kind of conduct this. I didn't know this is the first one, so it's kind of a big honor for me to kickstart your CPD for this year. It's exactly a year ago, actually, 20th February 2022. I had the same one with you guys, but it was on e-assessment tool. It's exactly the same day. So I was like, oh, okay, so 1 year anniversary, and now I'm given the task to talk about gamification. I'm sure you have heard of gamification a lot, so I'll be, more of covering what I know, and hopefully we can have a fruitful session together as well. Just a brief intro. I'm currently studying as well. I'm in my final year of my PhD journey. Hopefully, I'm going to get it done soon. But what I'm also involved with is the Gamification Center at UNIMAS. We have a Gamification Center at UNIMAS, and this center specializes in promoting game-based learning and gamification to schools, teachers in different parts of Asia, including rural areas. So we have done quite a lot of projects with schools and also with some institution of higher learning, but mainly on teacher training because we want teachers to be empowered and how they can use gamification, in their teaching and learning. So in today's sharing, I'll be focusing more on higher education context, of course. And today we will be talking about hybrid flexible learning. So I'm gonna share my screen now. I hope you're not disturbed by the doorbell.
Yeah, I've been trying to turn off that bell. I have no access to the cohort, so let me try.
Okay, it's okay. From Mira. Let me share my screen. Where's should be this one? Yeah. Okay. I think the screen now. Okay. All right. So this is the topic that I decided to cover, gamification for hybrid flexible learning. Yeah, you can say it's a bit fancy, especially for the hybrid flexible learning. We love to coin new words, and now people are talking about HyFlex, right? HYFLEX. So hybrid flexible. I think it's because of the 2 years that we had during the pandemic when we were trying our best to continue our teaching and learning without being disrupted by the COVID-19. So I think people start to realize that there are quite a number of flexibility that you can do. In fact, now I think a lot of, at least in the context of UNIMAS, a lot of lecturers are trying to kind of cut down on the on-site training as well. They want to go online more than face-to-face. Perhaps it's because of the time and also the other commitment that they have. But at the end of the day, I think we can do whatever we want, but we need to make sure that the learning has to take place, regardless of whatever whatever methods or mode that you want to do, the teaching and learning process must go on, and students must be learning. So let me just quickly go through, the learning goals, an overview of what I will be covering within these 2 hours. I think I will not spend too long on the hands-on, like step-by-step kind of, it's a bit based on my experience after conducting quite a number of webinars. I realized that you may not need that kind of step-by-step guide through the webinar. I'm more focusing on the giving you ideas, giving you some insight on what you can do. So the hands-on part, like the step-by-step guide, you can explore after the webinar, or maybe you can just go to some resources and then check out how to use those tools. But I think the more important thing is number 2, is the practical tips, the idea of how do you infuse gamification for hybrid flexible learning, and some tools. Like I said, I purposely leave tools last because you will realize that they are nothing new, more or less the same tool. It's just how you repurpose them, how you remix them in your gamified activity or your gamified module. All right. Okay, let me just go on. Yeah, the fundamentals of gamification. The fundamental, I highlight the word fun because that's the fundamental of gamification. Somehow, every time people talk about gamification, there's this idea that it has to be fun. It has to be, full of laughing, joy, or full of smiling and all that. But we know that along the years, when we are conducting gamified module and all that, you realize that sometimes gamification may not be fun, but it's still gamification, right? So I kind of start off with this one because I think it's good for you to know, especially for those who have not been applying gamification. Yeah, but I want to start with this one. A quick one. You can use your phone and just scan the QR code, or just go straight to the link given there, wooclap.com/IIUM. And you can just go to wooclap.com and type in IIUM. And then you will be prompted with this question: share your favorite game, digital, non-digital, physical, or what do you do for fun? In case you have no idea, just maybe one enough, just to have an overview of what kind of games do you play, or what kind of activities do you do for fun. Yeah, this is not for the last session I had. I remember one lecturer actually put publication, because publication is fun for, yeah, why not, right? But then for some people, publication is a fun thing. But now we just share whatever we have here. I have quite a number here. Some are using short form. You can see it here, right? Yeah. Quite a number of games. You have. This is the game that you play, yeah, not your students. I mean the game that you play. Yeah. I saw Wordle there. Yeah. Pac-Man, quizzes seems to be very popular as well. You play quizzes? Oh, okay. I mean, you do your own quiz and then you try your own quiz. Dota, I saw Dota 2. This must be the younger ones. I think I'm being a bit of ages here. Yeah, I have F1. Let me, if I were to put it on cloud or Kahoot and quizzes, I'm sure these are the two that you use to generate. But what about the games that you play? Right, I saw quite a number of words. Plant versus Zombies. Okay. I saw Metal Gear Solid. Those are, heavy games, but Kahoot seems to be very popular. Candy Crush, Flight Simulator. These are all common games. I saw somebody put PUBG there. Interesting. All right. And then you have mobile game, Monopoly. These are all common games. Sudoku. How many actually play Sudoku? I saw some here. I tried to play Sudoku a couple of times and I gave up because it's just mental torturing at times, because I had a lot of numbers to deal with, and then suddenly you have to please. But I think it's fun, right? I think it's fun. It's equally challenging like Tetris as well. Yeah, I think quite number. But if you take a look at the majority, suddenly needs for speed. some Shopee games. I know the intention. When you play Shopee games, your intention is to get some coins. But you get the point. I mean, you get the point. And you can see a huge variety of games here. And Football Manager, you have most of the online games. Did I see anything that I don't know? Like I think quite mahjong. Somebody actually put mahjong there. It's a game actually. Yeah, it's true. It's a game, just like poker, just like card game. It's a game. But of course, when you start to put money on it, then it becomes risky. Same like Monopoly. I actually saw a couple of teenagers use Monopoly to gamble. Surprising, but well, any games you can use it for gambling anyway, if you put money on it. But those are the negative part that we don't want to talk about. But we want to focus more on the type of game. Okay, now thank you so much for your responses. Kind of interesting to see the variety of games that you have. Let me go back here. So games are everywhere and in many forms, as you can see from your sharing just now. But I didn't see anyone put Minecraft. Maybe there is, but it's quite small. But according to the current statistic that we have now, this is the most popular one in terms of digital game. Minecraft is number one. You have League of Legends and all this. Why am I showing you this? These are the games that your students most likely will play. And for those of you who have been playing these games, you probably have the same lingo as your students, right? When they talk about it and then you know about it, then they start to realize that you also know about it. They get interested, for example. Or when you're designing your activities, right? If you use some of the terms here or some of the terms that they are familiar with, then probably it's easier to engage them. Again, right? Some people say, Dr. Mahani say no gambling. Of course, no, right? Now there are some board games here. Like you said, Taboo, right? Quite popular as well. But Taboo is not really feasible if you have a large group, because it's more suitable for a small group. All these games are small group, right? Monopoly, Connect 4, and all this. It requires people to sit, like maybe 4 or 5 people, and then start to play the game. The good thing about digital game, like all this Minecraft and all that, you can cover a larger number of participants. In fact, you can go as large as you want. The problem with board games, or even some of the traditional game, as you can see here, like Chongka, Batu Seremban and all this traditional game, it may not be feasible to be done in class, right? And it may not be feasible to apply in your content, right? But what I'm trying to tell you here is the shift. Long time ago, when most of us, when we were young, we were engaging in this kind of games on the left, right? And slowly we were introduced with board games. I think I didn't know about board games until I was probably in secondary school. In primary school, we don't really have access to this. And then now people are playing digital games or mobile games and all that. So you can see the shift from the physical part to the mobile or online part, right? The shift. So when you start to introduce the physical games like this, they are probably associated with sports. They can't differentiate that it's actually a game, right? But they thought that, every time physical is sports, okay? So these games are everywhere. So if I were to go a bit of, technical, I like the definition given by Zickerman here. A game is a rule-based system with quantifiable outcome, where different outcomes are assigned different values, and the user, exerts effort in order to influence the outcome. I like this definition a lot, because people tend to be confused between play and a game. When there's no rule or when there's nothing to be, to fulfill or whatever, it's a play. It's a play. You just play for fun, or it's play. But once you start to have rules, and once you have certain outcome that they need to achieve, then it becomes a game. A play becomes a game. You are no longer playing for nothing. You're playing. You're actually in the game, right? You are in a gaming mode. Now, if you take a look at this definition, it pretty much sums up the education system as well, because our education is rule-based. We have a lot of rules to follow. We have quantifiable outcomes. that, you have outcome that you need to achieve LO1 and blah, blah, blah. And then every outcome are assigned different values, 10%, 20%, 5%, or even like if you get an A, you get 4. If you get a B, there's different values. And the player here, the students, will put effort or will exert efforts in order to influence the outcome. If they put more effort, then they will get the higher value. If they don't, then they get lower value. So a game, this definition itself is how teaching and learning or education system, it's kind of being formulated at the moment, right? So it doesn't matter how you play around with all these rules and outcomes and also values, right? Then we have a lot of terms now. I think if you're in the in the field, then you will know that, oh, people are talking about gamification, game-based learning, gameful learning, serious play, serious game. There's just so many. In fact, there are more. I just highlight like these are the 4 most common ones. And for a lot of people, they tend to be confused. What's the difference, especially between gamification and game-based learning? Are they the same? Technically, they are not, but to me, they are all based on the same principle. So I personally do not really think that we should really distinguish all this. But normally if you are into researching in this area, then they will start to be more specific, right? Let me just go through with you quickly. So gamification, the one that we are talking about today, is actually on the use of game design element in non-game context. You are not really using games. You are using some elements of games to put into your content. It could be your module or some of your units and all that. Or any kind of tweaking or changes that you do, like what Hutari and Hamari said as affordances, that you do to contribute to gameful experiences. So you're not really using games, or you're not like totally, let's say you're not using Wordle, you're not using Monopoly or whatever in your teaching and learning. You are using some elements of it into your content or your delivery. That becomes gamification. The same thing with some of you mentioned just now. Kahoot and quizzes are 2 good examples of gamification tools. Why? They are not games, right? Kahoot is not a game. Even quizzes is not a game. It's actually a quiz tool. There's no difference with MCQ exam, right? It's just that they added the gamified elements inside, where when you got it right, you get higher score, and then you can move up and down in the leaderboard and all that. So they injected the gamification element into a non-game kind of context, which actually is a test. If you strip all the gamified elements from quizzes and Kahoot, it's just an MCQ test, right? It's exactly the same thing that you do in MCQ test, but because of the gamification elements, or gamified element we call it, you have leaderboards, you have different score and all that. It becomes more interesting. So this is gamification. It's not really game-based learning. So you cannot say, I personally wouldn't say Kahoot or quizzes is a game. They are not games, right? They are gamified tools. All right. So what is game-based learning? Now, to be more technical, just to confuse you further, no, not really, but you are using games or gameplays indirectly. Like I told you just now, let's say you're teaching, you're in economics, you want to teach about demand and supply, for example. So you use Monopoly, like you're using the property or, the buildings as a source to teach about demand and supply, for example. I'm giving some examples. So you're adopting or adapting directly the Monopoly into your teaching and learning. So that becomes game-based learning. Or you develop a game on your own. You come up with your own game. A lot of teachers actually are doing this. They come up with their own games, a full one with the starter, whatever they need to do, and then the end. So that's game-based learning. So if you were to look at these 2 definitions just now, GBL is actually more challenging for a lot of us, especially in higher education, because we may not have sufficient time to spend on developing one. But I know probably a lot of you have done this, but it takes more time, because you need to decide the game, that you want to develop from the beginning until the end with the mechanics and whatnot. So the easiest one to kind of kickstart your journey in this path would be gamification. So in our case as well, whenever we go to school or even universities and all that, we encourage lecturers and educators to start off with gamification first. Because if you want to go all out on game-based learning, you have to spend more time. You need to think about, all this play and all that, okay? So just to clear off, that's gamification. What we're doing now is gamification. But to me, even if you are, not able to distinguish these two, it's fine. As long as you use game elements, it could be a full game or partial or some elements of the game, then it's, gamification in essence, right? Because you're gamifying the learning experience. So essentially, games or gamified materials, I like to use gamified because when you say gamification, it sounds a bit technical. So you just say gamify means how you gamify your materials or your tasks or your activities. Are used to create fun, that's what I put in inverted comma, often perceived to be effective in motivating learners. If you take a look at the any literature done or even any empirical studies done on a gamification, none of the paper actually say demotivating. I think I can bet you it's 100% that all of the papers will say it motivates the learner. But the problem with those kind of research is that it's not long-term, right? I mean, we know our students. Whenever we introduce something new, they get excited. Obviously, they will say, oh, we are motivated. These kind of studies, short-term studies, tend to have that kind of result. And it's impossible for you to have a negative one in a short time unless you really study them from year 1 to year 5, and then you ask them again. They'll probably give you different answers. In fact, in my own study, I have students who come to me. These are all good, high-performing students who come to me and say, gamification is a waste of time. They would rather give me the notes. I would just study the notes. I score in exam. That's it. To them, gamification is a waste of time because you're diverting from the actual learning process, according to them. Like this kind of feedback. But that's why I said we have to run away from this concept of fun, because our purpose of using gamification in our teaching and learning is more on, I think, not just to motivate learners in general, but to let them see that there are tasks that can be done in a more challenging manner rather than just memorizing your notes and then score in exam, right? Give a bigger context to the whole thing. What is beautiful of games, like some of you mentioned just now, your whatever games you are playing, it's always the context of the game itself that makes you engage. Like if you're into football, the football environment or the football context gives you that excitement to be in that game. Or if you're playing like PUBG or Dota and all that context of being engaged with the community or the people around you fighting against some goals, that is the one that lure you to be there, right? Motivates you. So not so much about excitement. I think people who play Dota, they don't feel excited at all. They want to kill people, but then again, they get excited because they are playing together with a friend.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, somebody say yes. I have a resounding yes. But the worst enemy of fun is to be told to have fun. I think this is something that I repeated many times in gamification seminar. Never tell your student, I'm gamifying this so that we can have fun. You don't even have to tell them you're gamifying it for fun. Just do it, and then you observe the feedback or the responses or the perception or whatever you want to observe. I tend to do that as well, because the moment you tell them you're gamifying something, then they kind of know that, oh, okay, we are going to experiment some new stuff and all that. So you don't really get genuine measurement of the engagement level, whatever you want to measure. What I mean here is, don't tell your student to have fun. Just gamify it first, and then you observe the fun, right? And talking about fun, I love this a lot from, I've shared this many times, but I would like to share it with you guys, with all of you, by Nicole Lazaro. She kind of categorized fun into this 4 category. You can question the subjectivity of it, but to me, it's a good general overview of the kind of fun that we can have in our gamified module. First one is easy fun. This is the novelty part. Whenever you use Kahoot, quizzes, this is the fun that you are generating, and normally it will not be sustainable. It's one-off. Trust me, if you play Kahoot all the time, your student will get bored, right? I'm sure you know it. The student will tell you, not Kahoot again. They hate it because you keep repeating the same thing. That's the downside of easy fun, because it's new only for that moment, and then that's it, right? Because they don't get the excitement of it after that. The other one that I love so much is this one, people fun. In fact, we play games. Sometimes it's not because of the game, it's because of the people. Why do you play certain games? Like, for example, sports, for example. Why do you spend time playing some sports with your friends? It's because of the friends, not really the sport. Or the same thing like Dota and what not just now. You're playing because you are given the chance to work together as a team. It's the people fun, the collaboration or the competition that you can generate in fulfilling the goal or in fulfilling the game task and all that. So this is the people fun. Basically, it's collaboration, right? Then you have hard fun, the challenge part. This is the part where I think we can focus more in our teaching and learning for higher education, because try to go away from the easy fun. You can have easy fun first as a starter, then you can have a hard fun, where it's still fun, but then it's challenging that they need to work it out, try to decide why is it like that and all that. Just like how we apply inquiry-based learning anyway, right? We force them, or problem-based learning. Some of you are using problem-based learning in your teaching and learning. You just have to repurpose it a bit to have a bit of gamified element, and then it becomes the hard fun. I think PBL is a good example. Your problem-based learning, the typical one is always the trigger, right? And your trigger is always like, in that format where you sit together in the tutorial room, give the trigger, and then everyone's reading the trigger and then generate. That's the typical classroom setting. But what if you do it in a gamified manner? So you're still using hard fun, but you have some gamification element, which I will cover later on, giving you some idea on how to do it. Then the last one will be serious fun. I think this is the hardest to achieve, where people will spend hours and hours to complete it. They still say that it's fun. Like, I put the Rubik's Cube. Sometimes I never get people who are obsessed with Rubik's Cubes, but I can understand why. People play Rubik's Cube, right? 3x3 to a lot of people is easy. Imagine some of them play 5x5. They can spend hours just to train themselves, but to them it's fun. To a lot of people it's not, because it's not even fun. But to a lot of people it's meaningful, right? So this is a bit harder to achieve. This one normally requires a full design of a game. Normally, like in some contexts of gamification, you have a bigger meaning. A good example would be some apps that when you complete it, you are also contributing to a bigger cause. Like, I think there was one game before about this cancer survivor game. The game is actually teaching you the stages that the cancer survivor will go through and all that, the kind of treatment that they will get. So as you are playing the game, you are learning about all these treatments that they are going through. But at the end of the day, you are contributing to the cancer fund, for example. So there's a bigger meaning. So they would spend hours to do that, just knowing that they have a bigger meaning. But in your case, if you want to use if you want to reach out to serious fun, if you are designing your activities, the way I see it would be those who are doing on Sulam, your community service, the Sulam element, where instead of the typical Sulam reporting and whatnot, you can actually gamify it by having a goal at the end where whatever points they collected throughout will be the amount that the community will get, for example. That gives them a bigger purpose of trying to complete the task so that they get more points, because the points will determine the outcome that the community will get, for example. I mean, this is just a very simple example, but you can do that, just that it may require more time for you to think. Okay, so I present to you the anatomy of fun in general, but we try to move away from the mandatory fun, or this one, the easy fun. I mean, not to say move away, you can start with easy fun first, but try to also cover other elements of fun in your design. Okay. All right. Any questions so far before we go to part 2? some idea on that one. Research should be serious. Yeah, like I think so. Serious fun. Or if you assign some greater values to it, some people will find it meaningful to complete the journey. Right. I think talking about publication just now, right? Some of you actually, it's actually a game, just that it's too serious, right? Because every publication you get points, right? And then your total points will determine your promotion to your level. That's basically a game, just that you don't think it's that fun because of the because of the the value. Yeah, that is not fun. Yeah. Okay. It's like a pressure, the different types of pressure. But I know some people actually treat it fine. You can see some who are really, really striving for the points for each publication, and then because they treat it that way. For a lot of us, well, maybe it's serious fun, or some will say hard fun, but yeah, really depends on everyone's evaluation. Oh, by the way, talking about this, since some of you mentioned about serious fun and hard fun, good point. One game or whatever gamified module that you are introducing to your student, you cannot expect it to be categorized that way directly. Some student will treat it as a easy fun. Some will treat it as a serious fun, like what you are talking about now, right? Where you talk about publication, some say it's hard fun and all that. So it's the same thing. So, but you have to strive towards certain aim first. So you will have the majority going for the type of fun that you want them to achieve. But there will be some, of course, who will be the easy fun or hard fun, depending on how they perceive it. So you don't have to force everyone to go under one, or maybe zero fun. To some, maybe it's totally no fun at all, right? So yeah. Exactly. It is subjective, right? Okay. Now, gamification and you. Just now, it was asking you the game, but now, I think this one, we don't need to use the WooClap. Just a quick one on the, you can do it on the chat or maybe on the, I think Zoom, you can thumbs up, right? Can, yeah. Have you designed your own gamified activities? They say you have to know how to play the game to get published. Yeah. It's a game anyway. No, oh yeah, okay. I see some hand thumbs up. If you no, all right, no. Can't see everyone in the screen anyway. Yes, some yes. Okay, you can type in the chat easier for you so that you don't have to move to another platform. I like that. Not yet. Means you have the intention to do it. Yes, it's quite a number of yet. Quite a number of yes as well. No. Okay. Yeah, I think it's coming soon. Simple in modal. Yeah, that's quite a good start, right? Coming soon. Yes. Okay. I think we get at the moment we get more yes than no, and some not yet. Yeah, I think more yes. Yeah. I wish we had more time to actually, look at yours, but we only have 2 hours. But I would love to as we go along, if you have some interesting ideas that you want to pour in, just say it, yeah, so that you don't listen to me alone. Okay. Now, I'm sure some of you have tried, or maybe you didn't know that it's actually gamified activity. So maybe you tried and then it didn't work out, and then you decided not to, right? So gamified activities is very general. If we go back to the definition I gave you just now, gamification, by using Kahoot or quizzes is already one form of gamified activities, one. But then to you, maybe it's just a normal quiz, right? So it really depends on how you define this, but I think quite a number of you have been using it. Yeah, I saw Dr. Putri, is it? Often, yes, but not sure how effective. Time consuming, yeah, it's quite time consuming to design one. But the beauty of this is the one that we'll be sharing with you today is like you probably have to start once, then you can actually recycle it quite a number of times with different contexts or different how to put it, with different content. But the idea is more or less similar. Okay. Now, before I go to the gamification part on how to design all that, just a quick one on this one. Why do we talk about hybrid flexible in this session for gamification? Because there's a potential of using hybrid learning in general, because you can have the face-to-face or in-person and also online mechanism in your teaching and learning because of the games. Most of the games or most of the tools that you are using are actually online, right? Like quizzes, Kahoot, all these are online, or even some other tools that probably you are using are mostly online, unless you spend time to design something which is physical. It can be done. I think that can be done, of course. the kind of board game or whatever game activities that you can do it in class. But most of the games that we try to adopt or adapt in our teaching and learning are online. So you have online and then you have students in your class. So might as well think about how to make it hybrid, right? So in the context of hybrid learning or hybrid flexible in this context, it's just an additional flexible. Imagine if you have classes where some of your students are not able to attend the physical session. You fully have some online student, from different parts of the world. Maybe in postgraduate level, you have students from different country, or maybe in undergraduate as well. I mean, just who knows, something touch wood, anything happen, like some students cannot attend your physical classes, they have to attend online, right? So you can try to implement hybrid learning where you combine both online and face-to-face. But hybrid learning in general is largely synchronous. Asynchronous are normally called blended, the one that we've been doing for quite some time. They are mostly asynchronous because it's after class. But if you do it together, simultaneously, then it becomes hybrid because you're doing online and offline together, or online or face-to-face together. Then people added the word flexible. I think this is just a fancy way of saying that hybrid flexible means the flexible part basically means students have a choice with no learning deficit, meaning, well, they are actually on campus, for example, but today they decided not to come to your class. They want to do it online. That's the flexibility part. Whether or not you allow that is up to the university and up to your rules and regulation. But the concept of hybrid flexible is your classes will be always ready to accommodate students who cannot come to class physically. I'm not sure if you are ready to do that, but I think for a start, blended would be nice rather than full high flex. But that's the way forward where students will have a choice to decide whether today they want to come to your class face-to-face or they want to do online session with you. Just like what happened during the during the pandemic, where some were on campus, some were not on campus. You decided have to, in some context. So this is the concept. You can download this one. I'll share the whole slide with you later. You can download this book. It's free. It's fully free and edited by Prof. Brian. The whole chapter and the whole book covers a lot of things about high flex, but to me, just a fancy word of adding flexibility there. We understand the concept where students are given the choice to decide, right? So if you were to imagine the normal lecture hall that you normally conduct your session, your blackboard or whatever, when you talk about high flex, then it becomes two modes. So whatever you're doing in the physical setting, you also have to think about what's going to happen online. So you have to think about two modes now. Your whatever you are scribbling on the blackboard, are they going to be captured by some devices or camera that can be transferred into online, where your online learners will be observing, or you're not going to use Blackboard altogether. You will just use the PowerPoint, for example, or maybe presentation that you have. And then the activities, how are you going to do the activities, right? Are you going to do only in the physical setting where the students are sitting together, or you're going to do it online and vice versa? So you have a lot of, thinking to be done when you want to combine two modes. So I kind of summarize into this simple diagram that I sketches. So you have the physical one on-site. I call it on-site easier because you have on-site and online. Normally you have instructor and learners, whoever learners are with you in the class. And then you have a platform, mediating platform, I call it. It could be anything, could be Zoom, could be WebEx, could be Google Meet, whatever platform that you use as a mediating platform. You need to have this, or else it won't work, because who can watch you, right, if you don't have a mediating platform? So normally the people will go for Zoom and WebEx, the video conferencing tool. So instead of showing my face alone, I'll be showing my class, like standing. The positioning of the camera will be me standing, and then with the students in front of me and all that. Okay, and then you have all your students, learners who are not with you, connecting to this platform, like what's happening now. Imagine I have students here as well, and I'm engaging with all of you. I'm conducting my session offline or on site, but online you are also following me, right? But then the typical thing that I notice is it's always one way, where you are just delivering your slides and like what you're doing now, like what I'm doing now. So there's no way for you to do activities together with the students on site. So what happened is, Normally in high flex setting, all the students on site, maybe not all, but maybe at least if you are doing group work will be better. They also have to connect to the mediating platform, meaning the on-site one will also be online. They duplicate themselves into the online setting as well. You get what I mean? Because they need to talk to these people. Okay, for example, these three are one group with these three. If they are just sitting here and they are not connected to this platform, they will not be able to chat with these three, right? So they also have to connect themselves into that platform. So you can see the importance of this mediating platform. Because if you choose the wrong platform, the student will disengage. They will not be able to communicate with the students in the class. All right. So never mind, don't worry. I'll give you some ideas on how to solve this. But on-site and online activities should be accessible by all, although in different modalities. Because in the physical one, for example, they could be using mahjong paper. I give you one sample. On-site, they could be using mahjong paper with sticky notes. Online, they couldn't do that, right? Because they're at home. Probably they can use sticky note, but they could not paste together, with the student on site. So what happened is you need to find a mediating platform where the on-site one can share the one that they have done on the mahjong paper, maybe snap a photo and upload it to a platform, and then the online one will also contribute to the sticky note, using Padlet or using some other platform like FigJam and all that. So you need to decide this. Or how do you gamify? Later on, we'll talk about it, because gamification will not be able to work if only some members are engaged, right? Okay, so some principle that I would love to share before we go to the tools a bit. The first one is, I'm basing this on Dewey's experiential learning. He mentioned quite a number of principles summarized by Parrish, but I love these 5, right? So learning experiences have beginning, middles, and ending. I think we need to make sure this happens. So you cannot have gamification just come in the middle and then that's it. There should be some introduction of what you're going to do, and then to the middle and then ending. There should be like a whole stretch of that thing, not suddenly introduce something in the middle, right? Number 2, learners are the protagonists of their own learning experience. This is the hard part to do, actually. Learners here means it could be a team or individual, where they have to decide how are they going to go through your gamified module and determine their own outcome. Well, the outcome can be similar. Your goal could be similar or the same, but the way they achieve it could be different, right? Just like a game, we want to reach point B, but some people take a longer route, or some people take a shorter one. Some people have special abilities, so they can jump, blah, blah, blah. But everyone is heading to the same ending. But the experiences will be different. But the protagonist here means they have to decide it. You are not the one to tell them where to go. They have to decide, right? Principle 3 is learning activity, not subject matter, establishes the theme of instruction. Yeah, subject matter is important, but the activity is the one that will shape the theme of instruction. So your activity had to be relevant to the subject matter as well. For example, if you're teaching, like I told you just now, maybe like economics, you have to find something relevant to economics. You cannot be suddenly introducing football. Unless you're talking about how you manage the finances of the football team, then it's fine. But suddenly you introduce football into that, the student will be wondering, why am I talking about this in this class, right? If you go specific to the financial part, it's fine, right? Principle 4, context contribute to immersion. Again, context, I think we realize is similar to principle number 3. In fact, context is quite important as well. Your game context will shape your whole gamified module or gamified task that you're designing. And principle 5, instructors are authors. We are the one who design the game or create the gamified module. Supporting characters, we are the supporting characters, and model protagonists. We are the one modeling them, but we are not going to determine the outcome, not going to tell them where to go and all that, but we are there like a facilitator in general. So we can apply all these 5 principles in our how we implement gamification for high flex classes, but I think it's quite tricky to achieve all. The reason why I put it in the slide, which I will give you later on anyway, is for you to think about this. If you really want to design a good game, you really need to figure out how to apply all these 5 into your game design. But I think, like some of you mentioned, we may not have time to design all. So today, sharing, I will be focusing more on the easy way out, all right? But these are the ideal things that you need to hold on to, right? Okay, several important consideration. I think you have mentioned quite a number. I saw some feedback in the chat, more or less the same. Design your own game or gamify activities. You can design your own game if you want to, or you can design only gamified activities. Probably the whole, like 14 weeks, you don't have to design a gamification for all 14 weeks. You can design only for certain part that you know that students are struggling. My suggestion to a lot of teachers is just go for the one that they find it hard to understand, or maybe you yourself have been teaching it for many semesters. You just somehow get bored with the way that you're teaching. I mean, it can happen as well, right? You have been teaching that thing for so many years or so many semesters. You just want to try something else. You can do that, but most of the time we try to tackle the subject matter or the topics which are quite tricky for students. That would be the best for gamification. Don't go for the easier ones, right? Go for the one that they find it more difficult. Or if you don't want to design, or if you don't want to even design your own game and all that, you can do number 2, infuse game mechanics in existing activities. Like I said just now, PBL is a good example. You have been doing problem-based learning all this while. All you have to do is just to infuse a little bit of game mechanics, just fine-tune or tweak a bit. So instead of normal PBL structure, you have some elements of gamification inside. For example, before they even start the trigger, you ask them to go for a challenge. The challenge can be in different form. One example that I will be showing you later is escape room concept. Give them into an escape room, they have to unlock it, and then only they could proceed to the trigger. That would be one way to have that fun, starter for them, right? That number 2, I think, is the easiest one for most of us, because we don't have to design or crack our head to design new games. We just fine tune the existing one that we've been doing, right? Or use existing game directly, similar to game-based learning. But this one is, I know there are quite a number of games that deal with learning, teaching and learning. So if you can find one relevant to yours, then you can just use it directly. That will be the easiest lah. But I think it's hard to find one which is really fulfill your objective, but you can probably use it for certain parts. For example, if you're teaching, well, I mean, this is probably you don't have it in units like, if you're training pilots, for example, you don't need to design your own game. There's so many flight simulators already. That's what I meant with number 3. So you just use the flight simulator game into your pilot training, for example. In medical field, there are quite a number of games being developed. So you can just search. But I think, as far as I know, they are not free. Most of them are paid commercial products. So you may not have access to full game as well. So number 2 still feasible, more feasible than number 3. Number 4, same thing with number 2, but it's remixing or repurposing existing game. Get the idea from existing game, but you remix it. We call it remixing or repurpose it. It can be a mix of 2 games, like you combine Monopoly and Wordle. I don't know how you're going to do that, but it can be done. You mix 2 games, right? Like all traditional game, you have Congkak, and mixed with maybe Dota. I don't know how, but you mix. That's the idea. You get the idea. Repurposing or remixing it so that you don't rely on one single game mechanics, right? Number 5 is trickier, depending on what type of student you have. I did this once, but only for one assignment, because it's relevant to my course, which is computational linguistics. So one of the tasks is for them to design a game to teach students a new language. Conlang means not a fake language. They have to create their own language, and then they have to create a game. So it's a co-design. This one is a bit trickier. If you have time, it can be part of your assignment, where instead of you designing the game, you give the task to the student. You tell them that this is the concept that you want them to or the theme, but they come up with the games. That could be done as well. But depending on your LO, because your LO may not allow you to do this. Number 6, decide most appropriate tool. While you're doing this, you also have to decide most appropriate tools accessible by both on-site and online learners. I think number 6 And number two will be my focus for this session within these 2 hours. I mean, I only have about 1 hour left, but I will not be introducing some fancy new tools. And what I noticed is a lot of gamified tools these days are not free. And the moment it's not free, it's very tricky for you to use it because students have to pay, you have to pay, and then, and it may not allow you to access it. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to use existing stuff, existing tools that you can use, and then just to infuse some of the game element into your teaching and learning, right? And when you're designing your gamified activities, hold on to these 3 C's based on my experience and also the sharing by a lot of teachers as well. These 3 are really important. The context. The game context has to be relevant to your learning outcome, of course, your scope. Like I said just now, if you're teaching a subject matter or a topic, make sure the context is relevant, and the narrative that you choose, the game narrative, has to be, it may not be typical, but it's relevant. You can use some fantasy, some learners or some even some educators love to use fantasy element like Harry Potter or whatever you like, as long as the context is similar. I mean, when you align it, like if you're using Harry Potter, a good example was Harry Potter. If you are linking it with, for example, chemistry, that would be quite okay, because in Harry Potter you have all this mixing of potion and whatnot, right? So it makes it a good narrative for you to mix it with chemistry or the teaching of chemistry. If you're teaching language, then you'll be focusing more on the Harry Potter side, or maybe the spells or whatever. You try to link it with the context, because that would shape the narrative. What I notice is if the context is not so engaging, then your whole gamified activity will collapse. Meaning the student will lose interest altogether, because they would think that this game is only fun for you, but not for them. So what you can do is normally do a quick survey if you want to. But I know this is very hard, because the moment you ask students, they will tell you nothing. Like if you ask, can you tell me what do you want to do? They will give you nothing, right? They have a lot of things in their mind, but they just don't want to tell you, right? Probably do some activity which is indirectly eliciting them, like what I did just now. Ask them what are the games that they play the most, right? What do they normally do at home and all that. So you gather that, then you decide, right? Or maybe you can start off your class with something else first, like a video, and see how they respond. Maybe you're gonna introduce it next week, but this week you give a teaser. For example, like the other day somebody talked about Top Gun, right? To a lot of people who watch Top Gun Maverick, they love it so much. They can talk about Top Gun because they have this nostalgic experiences with the old Top Gun. But to a lot of younger ones, they don't care, and they don't even love the movie, because they think it's just another, Air Force thing and blah, blah, blah. They don't really get it. Same thing like when you talk about Titanic and all that. They don't really get the excitement that we have for some because of the generational gap. So you might want to think about what are the things that they can engage, and then you go on to that, and then the challenges. But again, these are just subjective. Again, some of you mentioned it very, very clearly, subjective. But you try to go for the middle pathway or the majority. Of course, you cannot please everyone. It's going to go crazy if you want to please everyone in your class, because not everyone will love the thing that you did, but actually you go for the majority. But one thing that can hold them together, if you get a not so good context, would be the challenges, right? The challenges. And the challenges has to link to some of your teaching and learning context as well. It cannot be out of the blue. It could be one-off or a series. If you're starting off, you can do one-off first, give it a try. Like I told you just now, problem-based learning, for example, you've been doing this for many semesters, but you just want to try how you gamify only one part of that activity, or maybe for that session or for that topic only. That will be one-off. Once you're comfortable or once you get good feedback, then you can do a series. It can be like every 2 weeks or every 2 topics or something like that. And then you compile the scores, and then you do it like a whole gamified experience, right? Last one will be collaboration. Somehow along the way, if you study all the literature on this, you will realize that gamification works better with teams or collaborative in collaborative mode. It doesn't really work well in individual mode. Even though students think that they are working individually, but they are contributing to the collaborative goal, right? So it's somehow works better for collaboration. So if you have group activities or group assignment that you probably have it for many semesters, you might want to think about how to gamify it. That's what I did actually. I gamify my beginning, the beginning of my journey in gamification start off with gamifying my assessment. Then slowly I introduced it to the whole course. In fact, I taught that course for 3 semesters straight using gamification from the beginning until the end. Took me a while to justify it with the MQA audit and all that, but somehow they accept it because of my my structure. I will show you how I did it, and probably if that one maybe is the ambitious goal, but for now you can start off with assessment, then slowly go on the module, right? This is the initial. This one is shared by Kwame English too. I have a full control of the course, so I get. And then is you have to do it until week 14. So I talk and then the weeks here. One is actually a unit of this one. So I use Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a lot of students they will do it. This linkage between to know it, like you watch Iron Man 2, how is it linked to this one? For them, it's all of the narrative that I did. So this is how I structure it, just in case you're curious. The Excel is here, I think. Sorry. So before I even start, I have to present it to my coordinator, just to make it's not that clear. This one is clearer. Week and also the midterm break. So you know my unit. This course is called Language and Computing, but it's computational linguistics in general. So you have linguistic and not activity. So what I did here, the map just now, the right, every stage that they have to go through, but it's aligned to every learning unit, right? And I aligned to the LO here very clearly according to our cost plan and all that. But you can see the every alternate week, I did it as a alternate week. It's Team Challenge 1, Team Challenge 2. You can see Team Challenge 3 because no break, and then Team Challenge 5, blah, blah. So when I started this off, I used Team Challenge. The individual challenge is actually their individual quizzes. So that one is already counted as individual challenge. What happened is, when I started, I thought the student would not get into it, but somehow they get really excited about it. So they look forward to every team challenge because they don't know what they're going to get until that week. But they know that it's going to be team challenge. And I'm also proud to let you know that this course has 0 absentees throughout 14 weeks. UNIMAS still owe me this. No lah. Because the student, that time it was still in between. So I did once is fully offline, in person, and then the next one will be a half because of the COVID and all that. But you can see students will try their best to go into that particular session because they know what happened was, this is how I do it actually. Every group, this is the group name, this is the student's name. Every student will have their own role here. The prime, the protector, the dazzler, the maker. And I didn't even control this. What I just do a blank Google Sheet like this. You can see this is I use Google Sheet because it's online, right? You can do the same. So all these are blank. I can delete this. I just give them the link. So I said by next week I want all the names filled. So you decide who want to be the prime, then, and they don't even know the role of this at first, right? They don't even know what they will get, but they just put it in according to what they think, right? So you have the whole list, and then they will know what they get on the first week, which is like, for example, if you can see down here, the prime, raw points times 2, the protector, save the team from punishment, the thinker will have raw point plus 5. So this is a bit of game element here. We call it special abilities in game element. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Yeah, by the way, I'm just showing you what's possible to be done if you want to. Now, what happened is, for the team challenge, they can log in any of these special abilities in any of the challenges they want, but only once. Let's say if that week the prime uses this one, then the prime can no longer use it in the next few challenges. So they have to strategize when they want to use the special abilities. For example, I do a quiz, right? I use quizzes to do quiz. So let's say this team is last, right? Last, but they decided to use the prime's ability where the raw points will times 2. So they can double up their points and then they can move up the ladder. All right. Mind you, when you're doing this, try not to align directly with your assessment score yet. It has to be raw. That's why I kept telling them it's raw. You don't give them definite, like, okay, you're going to get 5 marks or 10 marks. It's not going to be helpful because you have to have a strong justification on that. Do raw points. Up to you whether you want to give them the real marks or not at the end of semesters. But in my case, actually, they don't really get any marks from this kind of activity. They only get marks for the assessment, right? But they enjoy it because of the ranking. Of course, you can promise them some gift if you want to lah. These are all optional, like the top 3 or top 5 up to them. But they somehow love when they get to use all this. And what happened is, if anyone is absent, the whole team will be eliminated from the team challenge. So they will disqualify automatically. That's how I lure them to come to class. Because if they realize the partner is not here, like 5 minutes, they will call, where are you? Blah, blah, blah. They will come. Or they will just log into the online, because they know that if anyone is not here, the whole team will be disqualified from the team challenge. All right, that's one way. But you don't have to follow, by the way, because this is just some idea that for you to think of. And I didn't expect them to be present anyway, but somehow it works, right? For my case. Subsequent semester, I still get absentees, but not that many, mostly due to other reasons, like they have to commit with other activities. I'm fine, right? But then the team still will not be able to complete the task, right? So this is the example of what I mean by hybrid. I used Padlet a lot at that time. Whatever activities that they do in the class, sadly, our setting at that time, we were given a lecture hall, the one with the seat is prefixed. You cannot really move around, so they had to make use of whatever space they have. Like this group, they will be doing the things here, and then they will snap, and then they will put it on a Padlet. And those who are online, will look at it and give comments and then contribute as well. So it's like hybrid in a way, right? Hybrid. But if you talk about flexibility, I don't really think it's flexible, because I force them to come at the same time. So mine is not really flexible, but it's possible if you want it to be flexible. But in my case, it's hybrid more than high flex. All right. But what happened is you need to have a mediating platform like this one, like a Padlet or some other platform where the student will be able to communicate with each other. Then I also do quizzes. I do team quizzes. I don't do individual quizzes. So the quizzes here are actually team names, not individual names. It's team names, like the one that you saw just now, the leaderboard. So they will be discussed. Those who are on site will be discussing, and then you can see every table will have its own terminal, at least a laptop. The laptop, if there are friends who are not there, the friends will also discuss, and then they come with an answer, and then they give their answers. These are just some team challenge that I asked them to do. So you can see the team challenge may not be online. The team challenge can be using Lego bricks like this and solve the puzzle and then share it online. It doesn't have to be quizzes or online tool. It can be a mix of both, depending on how comfortable you are with your design of activities. This one I use Lego bricks because they are doing these are their conlang, their fake languages with different name, Korean language, whatever language they have. I asked them to use Lego to explain the syntax. So, but the game is different tile will have different color, different color will have different points and all that. They only have limited points to use. Once they fully utilize the point, they cannot, use it. So they have to decide how to make sure that the combination is correct according to the points given, right? These are just some gamified element that I inject into the teaching, okay? Oh yeah, okay. This is another sample of a task that they do, same class, but the task is out. This is the outcome, the final outcome where they have to pitch. So the final outcome is they have to pitch. Like I told you just now, the final one is I have to pitch. So if you want to give a better meaning, your gamified element or mechanics that you can use, it will be we call it boss battle. In the gamified world, we call it boss battle, where you battle the boss, right? Like games, right? You go to the last stage, you have to battle the boss to win it. So boss battle. So what happened in a teaching and learning context is you give them accumulative rewards where they can use it during the boss battle. For example, those teams that accumulated their points in the team challenges, when they come to the final session, I asked them to, this is magic in Kuching last time. when they pitch, the top 3 teams with the greatest point will get to decide the order of the day, or they will get to ask the judges more questions, something like that. So they get certain rewards towards the end. So they know why they are doing it towards the end, right? That's another gamified element that you can have, right? Okay, so those are some idea for you to think about. But I think for a start, you can just gamify some elements of it, and we can use some tools. Some question here. Which platform do you use for team quiz? Yeah, I love quizzes. This one. I'll show you quizzes later. This one, quizzes. I saw some of you use it. All right. Some nice study. I don't like Kahoot, mainly because of the how to put it? Kahoot, it's a bit more like more suitable like teacher-led. You can use student-led, but it's more suitable for teacher-led kind of session where you control the sequence, right? Even though they also allow self-learning, but quizzes has a nicer interface for self-learning. What happened is I only set the time, like 10 minutes, but the student can just do the quiz within the group as they go until the time's up, right? So they don't have to wait for me to control the questions. So you can see just now in the picture, for example, this picture just now. So they'll be doing within their own bubble, the group. They discuss, they just answer, right? Of course, the issue that I normally get from some lectures would be, what if they cheat and all that? I say, I don't mind. I mean, the purpose is for them to go and seek out answers if they want to, but they have to answer my question in the quizzes according to the time frame. And the thing is, when you have so many heads in one group, you can see them. They'll be arguing, even though they have resources in front of them, or they'll be checking here and there. They'll be arguing because they have to make sure the answer is correct, right? Just like how you do your MCQ for how do you MCQ where your option has to be quite close, cannot be too obvious. Then it'll make them think, because even if they go and find answers or they try to cheat and all that, they still have to discuss, because this will affect the team score, right? If it's individual, maybe they don't care, but because it's team score, they will be studying. See, some of them are even studying for notes and all. I don't mind as long as they fulfill it within the time, right? Okay, so some idea for you to think about. So there are many tools here. These are the popular ones. Like I said, I think the one that people have been using will be quizzes, Kahoot, and Socrative are also quite popular. If you get bored of Kahoot, you can try Booklet. Have you heard of Booklet? I will not be introducing all these tools, by the way. I will introduce one or two, but the Booklet is it's a bit childish, but you can trial it here. This one, similar to Kahoot, but then it has a race element, like Socrative, where you have that race element, right? This is Booklet. And Quizlet also, and some of you are using Google Quiz. You can use Google Quiz as well. The only downside of Google Quiz is because you don't have the nice stats, the leaderboard thingy, right? They can submit, but then you don't get the leaderboard. I like quizzes because of that, the leaderboard thingy and all that. And you can even save the report for your record keeping and all that. Okay, now the one that I will be focusing on, the idea now, is this one, the concept of escape room. The one I told you just now, which is quite feasible to be done in most of your teaching and learning contexts, whether you're teaching language or whether you're teaching some more advanced subject matter like medicine and even all these technical terms and all that. You can use escape room concept. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, I'm sure some of you are familiar, not familiar with escape room concept. The physical one is quite easy to implement. You just create a room full of clues and all that. They have to solve the mystery to unlock the door and then get out of the room. That's the concept, right? In the virtual format or the virtual escape room, you can do many things actually. You don't even have to limit to one room. You can do multiple rooms if you want to. You can imagine your gamification is like multi-room kind of challenges. Like one unit will be one room, move to the next one and all that. There are many tools to do this. One is using Genially, and this is from my colleague, Dr. Norashikin. She used Google Slide and Form. I find it quite interesting because she used this as her quiz. the student were given a time limit of 45 minutes, but they have to fulfill the task given in the escape room. I'll show you how it looks like. Let me I'll also give you the link. Let me just, oops, sorry. Let me just give you the link. I don't think you can answer it because of the limitation, but the link is here. Oops, sorry. It somehow it turns into. Somehow it turns into, yeah, let me just. Oh yeah, it's already done. Okay. You can try. Yeah, this combined Google Slide and Google Form. Dr. Aizama mentioned about Google Form. Yeah, she shared the YouTube link. But this is one example of how you can use escape room. But what I like about this idea is a lot of people, when they come into escape room like this, they don't really know what to do. Of course, you need to have some onboarding with your student first. Tell them that what are they supposed to do. So normally in the escape room, what happens is the player or the student will be clicking everything, right? So let's say if I click this one, and then I'll be seeing this. Oh, sorry, no clue here. Go back to the room. So I have to go back to the room, all right? Okay, and if I click maybe this one, oh, no, nothing here as well, right? I mean, this is a bit like a clicking in there, right? This is a quiz, clue number 2, but you can see the question here. All right, my partner and I are added to the bioreactor during the fermentation for the pH adjustment. My partner is bitter, blah, blah, blah. So what it is. So the student need to quickly answer it, get it right, submit. You have a few choices whether you want them to know the answer immediately or they don't know, right? So in most cases, for problem-based learning, for example, you can make it open-ended. It's like the same way they will respond to your problem-based learning, but not in a different format, not the typical format where they have to submit in a written report. They could just submit in a form, but they will not know whether they are right or wrong. That would be one way. Then you'll be the one who's score them if you want to. That one is feasible if your class is small, like maybe 40 is still manageable. And then you split groups, right? So they can complete in groups of 5. Then you'll have 8 groups to check. If you have a lot of students, this type of question may not be feasible. So you might want to ask MCQ questions or whatever question you have. There are 2 choices here. One is to have 1 clue for 1 quiz, or only 1 quiz for all. So the quiz can be done linking to some reading materials, like this is another one, right? And all that. Now, this is a very simplistic one. And what I found out from Dr. Nashikin, because she did it for a class, and she actually did a survey on this, the student actually find it, how to put it? Instead of simply answering the question, they actually spend more time trying to figure out what is the right answer. It's like, if you do it in class, they will just quickly write the answer down and then just give it to you. But because of this format, because they want to make sure that they got it right, they actually spend time to, go through some materials and all that and check back and all that. So indirectly, you are also encouraging them to find out the right answer, even though they could be referring some resources, or like in now, they could be asking ChatGPT and whatnot, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you want them to try and answer it, right? Okay. That is using Google Slide. And if you're using Google Slide, like you can see here, it's quite straightforward. You just need 1 slide, put the background. You can find 1 background here, and then you just put the items on top of the background. Like these are all added on, right? And then for every single thing, you just click on it and then link it to your quiz or whatever you want them to do. If you are using quizzes, like what I did, then I link it to quizzes, or I do it in class. If it's hybrid mode, you do it in class, but the score can be accumulated together. Or you can link it to your learning management system. Some of you are using your learning management system, the quiz in your learning management system. You can also link it there, because that will save time in transferring the score. So you choose which one you want to link to. But the bottom line is the concept of escape room is they have to make sure that they got all correct. not to say all correct. They have to gather all the clues and then unlock. This is the unlock one, right? And get out of the exit room. Okay. Yeah, but a bit complicated if you are, of course, it's a bit complicated if you don't know, if you don't know. That's why the time given is 45 minutes for them. I find it hard to answer as well because I don't know the subject matter. But for the students, I actually asked Dr. Rashikin, because why did you give so long? Because to me, 45 minutes is quite long. And she told me that this was actually done in class. So one group will have one computer, and then they were discussing and how to answer it. So I think it's fine, right? So and the sometime in learning, it's not about getting the right answer. It's observing how they get to that answer, right? They could be arguing, or they could be referring to your notes. They could be checking on something else. But it's as long as they are doing something to make sure that they reach a consensus. Okay. Now this is one, but the one that I will be sharing with you is the one I did. This is just because I prefer, if you want to try escape room, you can use Unially because it's slightly more easier to play with the interactive element, but still workable. You can try this one that I put here on the chat. Maybe you can try. I'm going to give you like 10 minutes. Should be okay. You can try this game. Escape room. Yeah. You don't have to register anything. Just go in to the link I gave you. If you're using mobile phone, then it will be trickier. But if you're using your laptop or your computer, just click start and then try this. Yeah, Prof. mentioned. Yeah, it's a process actually. Because sometimes if you're doing in class, if escape room, you don't really want them to just give you the answer. You want to observe how they actually get to that answer, right? They could be referring to your notes or they ask anyone, but at least you know that they're trying to get to the answer. Okay. Try this. I want to see how many of you. It should be very easy. Okay. Can you go in? All right. For some, I don't know how many can go in because this system has no such thing as a login and a login function, but you can try. What you have to do is you're trapped. To get out of this room, your team will have to find, actually it's a team lah, but now we do it individually. Your team will have to find 5 letters of the alphabet, 5 letters, A, B, C, D, E, blah, 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 hidden in the room. Write down the letters, then form a word to unlock the secret box, right? Find it first by clicking the object. Once you click let's go, you'll be seeing this. It's a messy room. So you just click on it and then you write down the word and you need to unlock it. To unlock, you just find this one. I help you a bit lah, this one. If you want to unlock, you just click this to unlock, right? But before you reach this part, you have to click on it. If you need help, I actually enable this, show interactive element, then you can know where to click. Initially, I hide it, but I think it's fine to show it, so you can know where to click. This is a concept of escape room that you can use. Let me see, 10 minutes. I think maybe, how many of you can get this right within 10 minutes? Let me just... I think there's a music. You can turn it off because it can be quite annoying. Now you can turn off the music here, yeah. Yeah, you can just turn it off. Let me see. Okay, no one yet. Let me check the time. Just try. I mean, if this is your first time trying escape room, you're probably like, oh, what am I doing? But it's fine. Just click here and then try to decide what you're doing. Just so that when you do it for your student, then you will know what it feels like, doing escape room. Dr. Shaira mentioned, I find it hard to use tool for my master student. Yeah, master student is the serious fun part. unless you're teaching, if you're teaching core course, it can be done actually. I did it for my master's by coursework for but because of the course itself, because the course is computer collaborative learning, so sorry, computer supported collaborative learning, CSCL, so it's more relevant to that. I'm not sure which part. Yeah, Dr. Hakim, Kuching map on the wall. Yes, you probably miss Kuching. For masters, yeah, later on we can brainstorm a bit, but I can give you probably some ideas on how to do that. Because I'm not sure which course are you teaching. If you're talking about research, you can actually gamify some parts of the research part, like the how to put it, like how to write problem statement or methodology, how to differentiate between quantification, quantitative and qualitative, that kind of thing. That could be done. Oh yeah, I just talked about that can be done, but you don't have to do the whole thing. Just pick some parts that you think they have problem in, like some students do not know how to differentiate between ordinal and nominal data, for example. So you can gamify that part. It definitely will not be easy, but worth it. You submitted? How come I didn't get any? Wait, that's weird. I didn't get any. Wait, let me check. Yeah, you click this one. Click this. There's actually a hidden hidden part is hidden down the table. Then you just click yes, and then you submit this one. Let me check. Oh yeah, I think I look at the wrong form. Sorry about this. Is it this one or? Not this one. Let me. Oh yeah, now I see your responses. Okay, now I see it. Are you able to submit? I mean, the name you can just randomly put. This is just the trial. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to force yourself to. Yeah, I can see quite a number of you. I'm sure a lot of you got 100, right? 100%. Somehow I couldn't generate it in the don't know what happened to my. Those of you who have submitted, you managed to submit and get the score, right? I don't know why. Yeah, but so what's the answer? I mean, for the benefit of those who want to try, but actually, this one I don't know what happened to my form. I think because I used the same one, and then you can see here. It's supposed to be, you can see it's supposed to be games or even games capitalization, but you can see some giving games. I mean, they're all capital, so you have to put all the possible answers for this one. But again, I mean, you don't have to do this. My sample is just a sample of how you combine, but you can still see some gave you different answer. All right, different answer. But for those of you who are still a bit blur or confused, you don't have to do like what I did, where every clue is just one letter. You can have every clue is actually one situation or one question. You can do that as well. The reason why I did this is just to force you to kind of experience it. So if you click this one, all right, and then if you click on this one, code number 2, this is code number 2. I'm the beginning of everything, the end of everywhere. I'm the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space. So what am I? the letter E, right? Beginning of everything, the end of everywhere, I'm the beginning of eternity, and the end of time and space. So it's E. So you write down E for one, then you go and click on other things. This one, nothing there. And then maybe you try this one. There's no code on the map, so you go on somewhere else. Maybe this one, God of Thunder. So it's Thor. So you just click on Thor. So you get A. Now you have E, and then you get A, right? And then you have to write it down on a piece of paper. Because this is a teamwork, you can see how intense it will be within that 10 minutes, because everyone will be like trying to click here and there, right? Maybe this one, no, right? This one, no. Yeah, this one. In Harry Potter, this animal represents the house of Slytherin, so it's snake. So you got the S, so A-E-S now. You have to think. And where else? This one, no. The paper. I left something on the table. This is just to lure you to go there, right? Yeah, hot day, fan is off. If you're lost, you just click on this one, and then you can continue clicking, and then you M. So you have A, E, M, S. You can kind of know already, because of the clue, right? A must. Because you have 5, right? You have to find 5. So if you have, so you have that's why some people answer Gemas just now. But then it doesn't make sense, right? Gemas. Because if you click on this one, even the hint is given here, right? The hint is play, right? The hint is play. So even if you don't get all 5, those students who are quick, once they see, EMS, oh, there must be games, right? But then if you want to confirm, then of course you have to go and find the G, right? Return. And go and find all, right? But again, this is just one form. You don't have to do this like what I did. What I'm trying to tell you is, depending on which level are you teaching, like some of you mentioned about postgraduate or even undergraduate or your topic. So that's why it's always crucial for you to decide the topic. This is nothing to do with my teaching, by the way. This the one that you're doing now. It's just a random kind of escape room. If I were to align to my teaching, then of course the context here, all the question here, right? All the questions here or whatever quizzes that I do will be relevant to your topic, right? If you're teaching a good way to use escape room would be some concept that you found that they have been, struggling to understand. You do some questions here so that they can also check out what is the right answer. Like just a quantitative study, right? A lot of them do not know how to differentiate between ordinal and nominal data. Of course, you don't ask them what is ordinal data. That's too easy. So you give them some random numbers on the escape room. I have this. Is it ordinal or nominal? So they have to think, and they have to ask their friends. What do you think? Is it ordinal or nominal? Based on, let's say I click on this one. Let's say, imagine I click on this one and I have some numbers here, like population of Malaysia and whatnot. And then the question is, based on the population given in this map, if you were to key into SPSS, is it nominal or ordinal? Then they have to think, right? It's not that straight. It sounds easy to us, but to some students, they have to think, or they have to discuss with the friends. The data, is it ordinal or not? That kind of idea that you can inject into escape room, but you don't have to use some complicated question, because it's not really feasible for long hours. I think 10, 20 minutes will be fine for short one, but if you want a lengthier one, it can be like up to 1 hour max, I think. Even 30 minutes will be quite long, but depending on the size as well. If your groups are quite ideal, like 4 to 5 people, that would be nice to have it done within 15 minutes. If you have a bigger number, then you might want to give more time, but give more complex question, right? Give more complex question, okay? Now, 10 minutes for 35 and below. Yeah. I mean, depending. I know some of you are struggling because you don't know what to do, actually. I can understand. That's why, because what you need to do, even when you introduce to your students, you have to do like what I did now. Just do a trial first, something unrelated at all. Then once you have done this, then you can go for the actual one, because it's unfair to evaluate them or to assess them immediately using this one. I mean, like the first time trying, just do something simple, right? If you like some thematic approach, you can find some room like outer space or whatever you want. Like this is just a room that they normally have, like the picture I showed you just now is actually the actual room, but I mess it up by putting some pictures here. So all you have to do is just to find some pictures online with the PNG the transparent background, and then put it on top, and then start to ask questions. Okay. Now, I want to show you how it looks like in the Genially. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I'm sure some of you are familiar. But the reason why I introduced Genially is straightforward, and you can immediately do one. Like if you have the time, just allocate like 2 hours with your content, and then start to generate some escape room concept. Now, if you have not used Genially before, you just have to go to genial.ly. Of course, you can use Google Slides and Google Form. In fact, you can use Google Form here as well. Just that the one I did is also using Google Form because it's easier to tabulate. Or you can link it with quizzes and whatever tools that you have, right? So if you're not familiar with the Genially platform, just sign in. You do not have to go for premium. That's one thing I like about Genially. So far, the free one allows you to do so many things already. You don't have to pay. It's already quite extensive, right? But if you don't have any idea on what to do, you can just go to create Genially here. It has a specific section called gamification, right? You can see here, gamification. So you can use some of the ideas given there, all right? Gamification. And they have all kind of things like the quiz format and all that. Normally, I don't really use their quiz format because we already have quizzes or Google Form, whatever we have. I would normally go for their escape room template. So if you want to eliminate the paid one, just uncheck premium. Just uncheck premium or untick, and then you will get only the free one. You can see even the free ones are quite extensive. Same concept like Canva. Even if you're using the free one, it's already quite a lot. Actually, I don't see the purpose of subscribing sometimes unless you want to have some other features. But the free ones are quite a lot here. You can see some nice template given for you. So they have escape game dark design for you as well here. So you can directly adopt whatever they have here and do some changes according to what you want. Or like what I did, just do a simple one blank page, and then put the images in, right? So I can show you how it looks like in the template. Like let's say you love, well, maybe use this template, Save the Planet. So it will show you how it looks like. All right, and then you can use this template. Just to let you know, whenever you are editing it, it will take quite some time to load. But once you're done, the viewing one is fast. Like the one that when you view my escape room is quite fast. But when I were editing it, it's a bit slower because of the editing tool. Now you can see here they have just like Canva style. They have all these pages for you, right? I mean, these are all the questions that you can link to. So if you want to imagine how it works, you can just click this one, preview. Click preview. And then you can imagine how it flows or it works, like start. Okay, missions. So you have 4 missions here. So as you can see, it's nicely done already. I mean, you just have to change the template and whatnot. Then click start. So imagine this is a question. This is just a random text. Imagine it's a question. Then go. So blah, blah, blah. Look closely at the image. Blah. Okay, look closely. Let's say if you're teaching engineering, you can give some problem in the picture, which they cannot ask ChatGPT, by the way, because ChatGPT has no eyes. That's the one trick to beat the system. Ask question which you need to use vision, because ChatGPT has no vision. Give some problem, give a picture of some problems from the thing, and they have to answer something. So they have to evaluate. Oh, I think something wrong with this one. I mean, these are some ideas. Then they ready, and then they get the answer. The answers are given, of course, because this is a template. You have to edit it. Don't give the answer. Or if you don't want to use this type, when you link it to your Google quiz or quizzes or whatever you want. Don't have to use the one they have, right? Okay, let me just go back here and tell you what I meant. Every template will have like a template for the quiz question. If you don't like this, you can just delete the whole slides like this one, or just delete the content, or link this one, link this button, click on the button, and then click on the go to page. Just go to your, this one, add link, right? Add link. Link it to your Google quiz or whatever quiz you are using, so that they don't have to answer it here. They answer it to your quiz, which I like it so much because the main escape room is here, but the quizzes are all in our whatever platform you like. For example, your Google form, or you like to use your LMS, just use it. So the student will know this is where they get the questions or the mission, but the answers will all go to the platform that you normally use, right? Google Quiz or whatever. Or if you would like to do what I did just now, instead of linking directly, you can link it to this page, but instead of forcing them to open another tab, you can embed the Google form here, right? So all you have to do is go to insert, all right, and then go to others, and then insert the Google form code here. Let me just show you some sample. Don't worry if you feel a bit lost now. Later on, you can view the video, and there are a lot of videos on this. But I'm giving you ideas. Actually, I'm giving you ideas. So let's say you have a quiz here on Google Form, right? You have your quiz here. You have set up your question. Imagine this is your question. Everything you want them to answer it using this one. So instead of giving them link to this Google Form, you just go to share or send, all right? Google Form, call it send. Click this one. Click the embed code here. Copy, or just click copy down here. Go back to your Genially. Go to insert. Let me just insert, and then it will be audio, but just click others. Paste the code here, and then click insert. Then you will have your font nicely put down here. So the student will not have to go to another tab. They will be able to answer the question directly here. I show you some sample now. Let me go back to another page. Let me just preview this one. Okay, imagine your question is here. Okay, take a look at this image and decide what went wrong with the cabling, for example. All right, so they have to answer it, right? So they click ready. So they answer it here. The cabling is wrong because blah, 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 blah. So you get all your answers recorded in your Google form. You don't have to worry whether it's lost or it's not lost. You get what I mean, right? So instead of individual, of course, you can decide whether you want to do it teamwork. So if it's a teamwork, then it becomes your team, something like that, right? So it can be linked to, linked to your Google form or quizzes and all that. Also, if you take a look at this picture, there's also always this tooltip and all that. Another feature that I like in Genially is this invisible action, right? So if you go to resources, I'm sorry. Insert, wait, is it? Oh yeah, sorry, interactive element, not resources, interactive elements. You can scroll down and go for interactive area, this one. Click on this, then you get this invisible block. So this one, you can hide it anywhere you like on the photo. It will not be seen by the student, but then you can add interactivity. That's how I did my escape room just now. I use this invisible element and then add interactivity, go to page, go to link, or reveal, or audio, or play sound if you want to, right? Or you go to page or window or tooltip. Just now, this one is tooltip. Tooltip means there's something that you can type here. Notice just now when you go to my escape room, when you click on it, something pop out, right? If you use PowerPoint, you need to figure out the animation and all that, right? This one is already done. You just have to type in the content. So let's say here's your clue. The cable is red, for example. or you can give some information there, like definition of terms or whatever you want, so that it triggers them to think before they answer your question, right? So the invisible thing can be overlaid on any part of the photo, and then you can ask for the question. If you don't want to use all this invisible link, you can also use the existing button like this. Just drag and drop. All done for you. You just have to decide where you want to link it from. So add interactivity, go to page, and then select the page. All right. So it's quite easy because it's just drag and drop, and all these are free. They don't even charge you for the usage, which is quite nice, and it makes it more interesting as well. Okay. So if you want to try it out, just preview. Again, then you can see all the added elements here already done there. Of course, I didn't link to anywhere, but you can see some additional thing that I did just now, right? So student can actually use the photos and all that. Okay, then answer the question on your whatever platform you like, so you can embed it. There are, I think there are quite a number of tools that you can embed. Some are not. Some are not able. Some block, for example, I think Padlet. I'm not sure, because the other day some teachers told me when they want to embed Padlet, the Padlet doesn't allow them to be shown. So you can try and error. If you see that it doesn't work, then for Padlet you have to link it directly to Padlet. But so far, like Google Forms, quizzes, and all this can be embedded directly. Okay. Students are able to view and do it from their own. Yeah, they can use mobile actually. My advice for you, if you want to accommodate mobile view, then you have to decide as well how you position the image and the text, so that it doesn't look too cluttered. You know, mobile screen is a bit small, right? Imagine you put all the text in one screen, then a bit messy. So if you want it to be mobile friendly, then you can make it slightly less text. Something like this is fine. It looks still okay. So you decide how you want to do it, right? A sample that I did just now, this one. If these are all given by Ginelli, all the free template, you can use it. If you don't want, you can actually create on your own. Start a blank page, right? Start a blank one. I can show you the one I did. Okay, this is just a blank one. I just insert the background. You can see this is a background. If I go to background here, you will see this is the background, right? This is the background that I use. So I can always change this background to something else if I want to. I take another picture and then I'll just put it in, right? Now, but you can notice that how to put it? I have a lot of this invisible elements added, so that they will go to the page that I told you just now, right? So you have to click everything and all that. Okay, so put one background and then use the interactive elements at this one, the interactive area. Let's say I want to add another one near the chair here. I just have to add another one and then add interactivity. I can either go to the page or add a tooltip or pop-up window. Let's say I do a pop-up window. I can say there's nothing here. And then I can just make it bigger if I want to. So suddenly my room has one extra element, right? If you want to add more things here, you can go to image and then, find all this icon. You can download or, take some icon. Let's say I add a drone here. I can just click on the drone here and then put it somewhere on the table. So it feels like I have added another element there. So because most of the items here are transparent, I don't think the student these days know what is a video cassette, but you can you can use it. But well, who knows? Triggers them to learn what is this one and put it on the table. I mean, the imagination is limitless, lah. You can just decide what you want to do. But the bottom line is, link it to your quiz or link it to a team challenge that you want them to do. Now, if it's a team, in a hybrid mode, that will be quite interesting to observe. You can have this done in the class where everyone sit in group and then they have one computer or one laptop. Normally, my student will automatically bring their own laptop, and they will know that it's a team challenge. Every team will have one, so everyone will be going into the same room and try to escape. Then if you have another one on the online group, let's say all the online ones are together, then you can do some comparison, and you will realize that regardless of the mode, they will be arguing a lot. I don't know whether your student will do that, but in my own observation, they will argue because like one student say, I think the answer is this one. Then the other one will say, no, I don't think so. They start to question themselves, even though the answer could be right. But then because it's a collaborative challenge, they want to make sure that the answer is a team answer, not an individual answer. So they get to learn from the process. Even though they got it wrong, it's fine, because the whole process is about seeking, the answer or the information to get the right answer. Okay, so you can try Genially because it's quite, I wouldn't say easy, but to me it's one of the easiest tool to be used, because it depends on your level of familiarity, but everything is there. You can use tags, just like Canva. If you're familiar with Canva, is already there. You can also use it for other purposes like presentation, but the one that I use it a lot is for the gamification part, because they have very interesting template. You can see some of the template that I use, like escape room or even imposter challenge. They have this stick and ladder thingy as well. So depending on your idea, that's why I don't really focus too much on the tool, because what matters is the idea, how you want to gamify it, because the tools are there. If you're not familiar with Genially, you want to use Google Form or you want to use Google Site, go ahead. But the idea matters, because you need to make sure that whatever you're gamifying, it's able to not only engage the student, but also let them learn through the process, right? Okay. Dr. Daniel said, give them a picture of this. They'll be, they see the floppy disk every day, right? The save button, but they never bother to ask why is that shape. The save button is a floppy disk. It does not come with mobile responsive design. Unfortunately, it does support most of the browser for mobile browser, but then because of the interactive elements, when you click, you have the pop-up window and all that. If it's on the mobile screen, it feels a bit cluttered. I think it's just a matter of how you arrange your content. So if you want to accommodate mobile viewing, then try your best not to put too many things in one page just now, because that would disturb the thing. If you view it just now, it will tell you to open it in the browser. I think they don't have an app. I think mainly because of the interactive elements, especially the pop-up and whatnot. Okay. Yeah. I can't hear you. Sorry. No question. Yeah. Okay. Never use Genially. Never use Genially before. Does it need strong? When you're editing it like what you're doing now, you probably need a decent connection from your end. But once you're done, okay, by the way, once you're done, this one just now, once you're done, you just have to click share and share the link and all set. You will get your link here, right? The link on top, this one, or even this one, view. You share the link to the student. The view is fast, right? The viewing is fast. This one is fast. Yeah, you can see it loaded quite fast. Even just now when you go to the escape room I gave you, the loading for the student view or once you're done is fast. But when you're editing it, it requires a bit of connection, decent connection, or else you will be like dragging the items. Like this one just now, when you are trying to click on the elements, it will take some time to load. But once you're done, it's fast. So far, my own experience, I have no problem with the internet connection from the student point of view, because it's a team challenge, meaning they don't need everyone, you don't need everyone to be connected. You only need to make sure one device or one terminal is connected. But if you want to do individually, If they are all over the place, then you might want to consider how you want to do this, right? Okay, any other question? So I don't want to overwhelm you with tools actually, because what I realized throughout whenever we do this kind of sharing or training for lectures, you probably do not know where to start when you have too many tools. So I decided to just focus on something simple, Genially, or even if you're familiar with quizzes or Kahoot, you can still use it. But the easiest one to be embed directly would be your existing activities that you have done, that your Google quizzes or whatever. Change it into a gamified format, right? Okay. So any other question? There are other tools, of course. The one here, there are quite a number. These are all heavy. These are all these. You can see the 6 here are the quiz tools. Normally, these are the popular one for the quizzes. So you decide which one you are comfortable with. The one that I don't really think you will be using is Classcraft, even though it's popular, because the loading is taking forever from both ends, from your end and your students' end, Classcraft. But it's nice. It has this multiplayer game kind of concept with student creating their own avatar and whatnot. I mean, the characters just like in multiplayer games, but then not really friendly for your activities, right? So today I was focusing a lot on Genially because that to me is the easiest way to start. If you want to try out gamification for the first time, then try to combine it with Google Form or quizzes. My personal choice are actually these three. If I were to rearrange this, these are the three that I use. Oops, these three only for gamification. So it's up to your creativity on how you want to use it. If you don't want to use it for escape room, you can always use the Genially template or the layout as a task itself, right? Like instead of a room, it can be your question and all that, and then with the points given and all that. So it doesn't have to be escape room, but escape room give that kind of narrative that they need to get it done so that they can get out of the room. All right, or go to the next level. You can even link it to another room, right? So once they're done with that room, they unlock, they go to another room, maybe stage 2 or level 2. All right, okay. Any questions? I think I'm done actually. Just a quick one on this. Yeah, I want to highlight this one because gamification can't fix poor content. Just because you use quizzes or gamification, suddenly you think that your content is going to be good or highly engaging. So what matters is to make sure that the content or the one that you want to gamify it's already well thought of before you even jump into the gamification bandwagon and whatnot. So think about it, like some of you were talking about just now. You don't have to gamify everything. What I did was a bit extreme, where I gamified the whole course. In fact, I like I said, I went into trouble for the first semester, but after that, luckily they accepted the idea. And then because I do the alignment, after all, OBE is all about constructive alignment. You just have to make sure that it's aligned, and all the contents are taught. Like if you go back to my plan just now, all the contents are there. It's just that I didn't use the conventional way. I just turned it into a gamified mode. You don't have to do that. You just have to pick maybe one of your activity or one of your assessment and try to inject a bit of element. The best way to start is, like I said, your team assessment or your group assessment. Give them a sense of game, like they're completing a challenge in a gamified manner. Or your typical quizzes that you do in class, like all your Kahoot and quizzes that you do in class, instead of just do it one-off, it can be accumulative, like a team challenge, like the one I showed you just now, where it makes it even more engaging. All right. So I think that's all.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kiman. Sorry, just want to add to that. Maybe it's beneficial for others as well, because in IUM we do have the learning management system. If you don't mind, if I can share one thing.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay, so what's good about, thank you so much for introducing Genially. I think we have maybe in some sessions, especially for those who are new to IUM, they have to go through BTMC, basic teaching methodology, which I kind of highlight these tools as well. So glad that it's being used a lot in your course for gamifications. This is one of the examples that I use in my class, which I try to embed generally or gamifications to the learning management system. So Kiman just now have showed how to gamify in many contexts, but just to make sure that it doesn't, or if you want to document this as part of your learning management system, generally actually allows embedding. So this is actually generally, which I embed inside the learning management system. I'm not sure it's actually, it shows, right? Yeah, so this is, I'm actually embedding these gamifications as part of the learning management system. So it doesn't go to the generally website itself, it's within the iTalim. This is how we call our learning management system in IUM, Kiman.
Yeah.
So so in this case, say I have, so the students can actually play around with this, and it doesn't have any marks. This actually just to help them sort of revise the class concept that I have in my class. And of course, in this case, if the students make mistakes, they can always try again. Right. And then, it helps them revise just the class concept. So this is not meant for assessment whatsoever, but I get quite interesting feedback that when I ask them, shall I take it off? Every semester, I always ask them which of the materials that they benefited a lot. And to my surprise, although they don't get marks for this, but they want this to always be on the website. So so this is one of the strategy perhaps that we can use to use gamifications outside the assessment context. So thank you, Kiman. Thank you so much.
No problem. I think Dr. Siti Yuliandi asked about how I justify during MQA evaluation. So I think I showed you what the first thing I did was to do the alignment, like I showed you just now, the this one. I think you can see this particular alignment first. So you need to make sure that your learning focus is actually the units, all right, in the course, and then you divide your activities and assessment and everything, and then you align the LO. And of course, you link it with the stage. This one is actually optional. But what happened is, for my case, I had to also give the rubrics and task description and everything. This is a summary. You can see all the team challenge are given a name. Like team challenge one is called Decoding Samantha, Escape Room, blah, blah, blah. But every one of this, I have my own rubric. So you also have to include that in your justification for those who want to be more adventurous and do the whole course kind of gamified. But I think it will take some time. The reason why I tried this was because of the course itself. Is language and computing. This is one of the courses where, for linguistic student in my program, they hate it so much because they are not from most of them are not from science background. They are from arts, the sastra. So when they come to this course, suddenly you are talking about computational linguistics, they got very, intimidated. So one reason why I decided to gamify it was because of that. At the same time, I also see the content itself, because the content itself are quite interesting if we turn it into games for some of the units. So that was the beginning of how I decided to gamify everything. So when I justify to my teaching portfolio, everything is like, it's just like a typical portfolio with all your teaching content, with all your assessment rubrics, just that you have to give another layer of outline where you are aligning it with the activity so that they see the point. In fact, I think in our OBE, one of the approach is gamification anyway. So you can just justify that you're using the approach itself in your delivery. Just that I went a bit extreme by doing it the whole course. Yeah, I think that's all. Any other questions just in case?
Okay, Mr. Kiman, you mentioned about the PBL just now. So can you give us some tips and tricks how you design the PBL through gamification?
Oh yeah, PBL. PBL for some of the cases that I've seen, the one that you saw just now, the one by Dr. Ashikin that one was for biotech. It's actually a PBL task, but it's a pre-task to the PBL. So let's say in your PBL, your trigger, you know that the trigger will contain some terms or some terminology that the student are not familiar with, then you can use the escape room concept to introduce the term first, like with some quizzes for the terms. Then when they come to the PBL task, they already know, they should know lah, because of the activity. Or if you still want to gamify the PBL itself, another example that I saw was the trigger is presented like a game narrative, because the trigger normally, like the typical trigger will come from normally will be latest happenings, right? Like current issues and all that. So you can turn it into a game narrative, as in instead of a typical paragraph based or maybe article based kind of trigger, you turn it into a game, like Dr. Sadri is lost in the jungle now, and in order to save him, you are supposed to find out these elements, blah blah blah. So you turn it into a game narrative. Then you can use whatever platform you like and ask them to complete the task and accumulatively answer the bigger question. It can be, what I normally encourage would be a progression of tasks rather than one big task. A progression, as in start with the easier one first, and then as they go on, that will be the final one, the one that you want them to answer in a full length. Maybe like the typical answer for a PBL would be all the solution and everything, right? That could be the last one. But along the way, they have to complete some mini challenges, and the bigger one would be the big battle, you can call it whatever you want, but that could be one. But you have to decide on the time you have for every PBL activity, because normally I think PBL activity, if you do it on site, I think 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour, I don't know. But depending on your time, so you can limit the number of activities that they can do. But what I notice is if it's a game-based or gamified-based kind of narrative, students get more excited to complete it because they want to know what happened next. So the trick is, don't let them know what happened next. Don't tell them like, okay, by the end of this TBL, you're gonna get this. Don't tell them yet. Just tell them, or if you want to use some physical one, will be a mystery box challenge. After they submitted the PBL challenge, you have a mystery box. You can bring the box to the class if you want to. Put the mystery box. So whoever has completed it or whatever, then they can come forward and take something from the mystery box. Maybe that will be a clue for the next one or something else, depending on how you want to be creative about it. But PBL, normally the trigger will be a good one. The trigger to be changed into a game narrative. The challenging part will be deciding which narrative will be suitable, because that will be the challenge. Yeah.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Giman.
No problem.
All right, so is there any last questions to Mr. Giman before we end our sessions or anything?
Yeah, I do have, Giman.
All right.
It's a very important thing that you mentioned in the beginning. You want to achieve the objectives, and it has to be quantifiable. How do you quantify this apart from just the students getting the right answer?
Yeah, because of the because not all tasks are, like you said, are given marks. So I think the assessment are still quantifiable in a way. Like I said, the rubrics, everything has to be there. You need to make sure that when you give them the team challenge, apart from the quizzes, like PBL is a good example just now, there must be a rubric to give marks to the answer still, right? So that would be, I think that is more or less the same. Not really different from the existing method that we're using. It's just that the presentation or the delivery will be different in a gamification format. So in my case, for assignment, even though they have different roles, when they submit the assignment, like the project, everything is still assessed accordingly to the rubric that we have set. So that one is still the same to me. It's not really gamification rubric or whatever. It's the presentation is gamification, but the assessment is the same. So yeah, that would be one from in terms of the learning outcome. But other form of quantifiable, I wouldn't say it's it's qualitative. It's our own observation. That will be another one, but it's just for our own improvement. For students learning, I think still have to go back to the rubrics, the scoring criteria that we have set, apart from the quizzes, the scores from the quizzes and all that. So the assessment bit, I think it's still more or less the same, just that the style is different, but the way we measure it is more or less the same in terms of the rubrics and all that. But because you're doing team, like my case, then the marks, the criteria will have to consider that as well. Like, teamwork, that kind of criteria has to be there. And I have not really go into this, but I started to implement peer assessment as well, because they have to evaluate their own peers, but not many not many percent, like only like 5 or 10, because I don't want to disturb the whole flow yet, because we know that peer assessment can be manipulative as well. But that would be another way of considering the scoring as well, not just based on one outcome. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So any more questions? Okay.
Yeah.
I can just express my thanks on behalf of CPD. Sorry, Dr. Sadri, before we conclude. Yeah, so again, because I didn't get a chance to thank you in the beginning, Kiman, but on behalf of CPD, I would like to thank you. Kiman is a very, I see him more like a brother rather than,
yeah.
We've been working in so many projects. So thank you so much, Kiman. It's always a pleasure to have you. And I learned so much in every meetings, every sessions. I always learn so much from you. And I really look forward, I'm really look up to your passion in education. So you are one of my inspiring educators. So keep up and let's keep this as a regular undertakings with IUM, because I'm very sure there's so many things that we need to learn from you, Kiman.
More than happy to help.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is the first time I think I meet you.
Oh yeah,
I heard so much about you from Mira and the team from CPD.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Kiman, for the interesting and also an eye-opening training, at least for me. And then okay, so
Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. Thank you to Dr. Sadri and Sister Nurul on the training. I have to thank my team. Thank you so much.
Okay, so don't forget for everyone, to record your attendance to I attend just now, and also don't forget to fill in the evaluation form, because the evaluation form is very important to us. Okay, so that we want to know whether each of the session, each of the training is helpful to the academic staff. And also, if you miss some of the step, and also you miss some of the timeline. So don't worry. We already record the videos, and we were gonna place it on the CPD website, so you can find it under resources and also training videos. All right, and then
I'll share the slide. By the way, I forgot. I'll share the I'll share the slide, and then can be distributed.
Yeah, all right, that will be great. Okay, and then I would like to thank to Sister Nurul and also Mira for their assistance today. Okay, so since this is the first training for this year under ELU, all right, so we will happy to have you, and also your anniversary with the CPD. All right, and then okay, so I would like to take some photo if you don't mind. So please open your cameras. Okay, and then we're gonna take this as a reporting purposes for CPD. All right, that would be great.
This is quantifiable outcome.
Indeed, yes.
My boss is here. All right, so all right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. Right. Okay. We have so many participants today, Alhamdulillah. Okay. It will be the last screen. All right.
It's a pirate.
All right. So, so Mr. Kiman, do you want to send the slide through the chat bar, or
I can send it to you so that you can.
Yeah, you send it to me, then I will distribute to all the participants.
Yeah, I think some.
Okay, so so we're done with the photo sessions. All right, so I would like to thank everyone for today's sessions, and hopefully that you will follow most of our training from CPD. Okay, and let's end our training session with recitation of Surah Al-As and Tasbih Kifarah. Okay, everyone, have a good lunch.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiman. Thank you, Dr. Sadri.
Thank you, Mr. Kiman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Nurul, everyone.
Thank you.